granniopteryx. She knows the truth, she's linking every link.
According to the Daily Mail a couple of days ago, the police chief, they say, who refused to quit over lies that led to a ban on Israeli football fans, may sue for constructive dismissal, which would give him a payout, they say a six-figure payout, amid backlash over his retirement. The fact is he should have been sacked, but the police commissioner, or whatever he's called, who is supposed to be able to sack him, did not do that. And the Home Secretary apparently has no legal powers to do so. So there was some sort of pressure put on him to resign, which he did. And then here, this is what The Guardian has to say. The Guardian view on Craig Guildford's departure, right decision, dangerous implications. Yeah, the implications are very dangerous. Now, I know that it's not supposed to be polite, especially for a well-brought-up lady like me, to make fun of somebody's immutable characteristics. So I don't. But when I call him a bald-faced liar, you have to understand I am merely using an English expression to describe this man. I am not talking about any immutable characteristics. So Mr. Guildford is a bald-faced liar. He told various people that the Maccabi fans had a reputation for football hooliganism and had behaved badly in Amsterdam a few months previously, when the Amsterdam police stepped up and said straight away they had told him no such thing. As a matter of fact, it was an organised group of Muslim taxi drivers and I believe hotel receptionists who started a violent assault on the Maccabi fans. He says he was fooled by a lying AI program. Again, I don't believe that, and in my personal opinion, I think he was taking on any story he could, whether he actually thought it was true or not, simply to justify his course of action. And his course of action was to keep as many Jews out of Birmingham supporting the Maccabi team as he could. And he was doing it for reasons of cowardice. That is, Craig Guildford was afraid not of the Maccabi fans, but of the Muslims who would start a huge fuss about a lot of Israelis on their sacred and, as much as they are trying to make it, Jew-free soil, and they are by far more dangerous than a few Maccabi fans. In other words, Craig Guildford knew he couldn't control the Muslim mobs, but he did not dare say that. And so he resorted to all sorts of lies, including lying directly to Parliament. When they asked him why didn't all this come out before, his answer was, well, nobody asked me. And this is the morality of the abyss. You'd look at this man and you would be forced to come to the conclusion that he doesn't use truth unless it is politically necessary. This is a man whose view of the truth is smothered by his cowardice. You see, if he'd have gone to Parliament and said, or if he'd have gone to the people and said, look, I don't want the Maccabi fans here, not because they're bad people, but because the Muslims behind me are uncontrollable and I don't have the resources to deal with them. He would have brought the sky down on his head and things would have been sorted out properly. but he didn't do that. And because of that, he got a lot of support from the Muslim community in Birmingham. For instance, the MP for Birmingham Perry Barr, that constituency, which is looked after in a way by Ayub Khan, who stood up in Parliament and said that the Maccabi fans in Amsterdam had been responsible for throwing an innocent Muslim man into the river, when he damn well knew that it was the other way round. The Muslims threw this Israeli man into the river, and he knew that. So he was lying to Parliament as well. I don't know whether parliamentary privilege covers that particular sort of story, but he says that the police chief has been thrown under a bus over the Maccabi ban fallout, and he and several other quite prominent Birmingham Muslim spokesmen, yeah, let's face it, spokesmen, they all said the same thing, that this was a Zionist plot. And it's this sort of mentality that is keeping the land of, in many cases, the land of their birth, Pakistan, in the Middle Ages. This inability to come to grips with the truth, to face it, and to do something about it. So instead of doing something about the violence of his constituents, all Ayub Khan says is that Craig Guildford is the victim of a Jewish plot. And now, as well as being a bald-faced liar, it turns out he has bald-faced cheek, because he may sue, they say, for constructive dismissal. The Daily Mail says Guildford is planning to sue. Well, we'll see about that. The West Midlands Chief Constable was allowed to depart with his full pension by the area's Police and Crime Commissioner, who even praised his honour in stepping down. Well, no, it wasn't his honour, it was his constant cowardice. And, well, I think the look on his face there says it all. Although I have to remind you that the Daily Mail compositing department may have gone through dozens of pictures of Guildford to find just the right one that makes him look shifty and insincere. Anyway, this is what The Guardian says. The case is important on two levels. One is professional standards. As the Cook report shows, West Midlands Police did an inadequate job weighing the case for a ban. No, you see, they didn't do an inadequate job. Everybody says this was a series of mistakes. They got AI evidence, which turned out, I don't know whether some of you might be fresh to this argument, but AI came up with a football match with another team called West Ham, in which the Maccabi fans were supposed to have acted exceedingly badly and been very, very rough and rude and violent. And it turns out there was no such game. So how AI got that story, I don't know, but we can assume it was cooked up by somebody with an agenda. And somebody not too bright, of course, because they came up with a game that simply didn't exist. So everybody's saying, well, it was just Guildford and his subordinates didn't check the story. And the various stories of Maccabi roughhousing. And that's the problem, that he wasn't a sufficiently punctilious policeman about the evidence. But that's not my opinion. My opinion is he wanted evidence to implicate Maccabi in terrible behaviour, and he just seized it from anywhere. And it's even possible he knew that some of the stuff he was saying was not true. But this is, again, my guess. just let's be hypothetical. He got a whole lot of stuff, some of which was submitted by people who might not be that particular about telling the truth about Jews anyway. And Guildford thought, well, now what do? I accept this stuff from these people. I know they're lying to me, but if I don't accept it, if I go ahead, I have a policing problem on my hands that I cannot solve. I could believe he did that. I can believe that quite easily. And in my opinion, the problem with Guildford is not that he's a bad policeman. I mean, he is a bad policeman, but a bad policeman for a reason. It's not that he's a bad policeman, but that there's something else behind it. And that is that he is a coward. And from that, all else flows. And that's my assessment of the Guildford saga, which will run and run, because everybody will remember this, just like everybody remembers that policeman who took advantage of his warrant card during lockdown and abducted and treated very badly a young woman who trusted him as a policeman. And we still remember him and his victim. And I think we'll remember Guildford and his cowardice and lies for a long time to come. He's probably done no end of damage to the police force generally. And as long as the Labour Party's in power, I don't see that there'll be any improvement. I think that there'll be chief constables all over the country just saying words of praise to God that they haven't been put in that position, because they would have acted exactly the same, and that's the problem. We have an institutional cowardice in this country now, and it goes all the way from Nigel Farage saying we can't do mass deportations, right the way through to police officers saying to themselves, it's better to calumny one ethnicity that never gives us any trouble than to risk the displeasure of another ethnicity that does. And until we discover our backbone, this is going to carry on. All right, till next time. You can help my channel by subscribing and clicking the notification bell. That's quite important. And by sharing if you're so inclined. Links to my other channels and to donation methods are in the description. But the best way you can help is simply by clicking like and notify. Thank you.